I know my own needs. And what I need from an automobile, I know I get from this new Cordoba. I could ask for nothing beyond the quality of Cordoba's workmanship, the tastefulness of its appearance. I request nothing beyond the thickly cushioned luxury of seats available even in soft Corinthian leather. Yet it is on the highway where Cordoba best answers my demands. I have much more in this small Chrysler than great comfort at a most pleasant price. I have great confidence, for which there can be no price. In Cordoba, I have what I need.
The Eastern Class Championship played in Sturbridge, Massachusetts, March 2014. This is a great tournament, folks. And in fact, this year, Gadakomsky, world-class elite player, played in it. I recommend very highly to anybody of any playing strength. Hi folks, John Cordisco here. Round 4 of the Eastern Class Championship is a tournament I played in the middle of March 2014. This is round 4. I'm white. I'm rated 1467. Black, his name is Salzman. He's rated 1577. This is the under 1600 section, so 3 out of my 4 games so far have been guys that are close to the ceiling in rating. Anyway, you're going to see, I gotta tell you, and I'm not going to tell you why until the end. Sometimes you just get an idea in your mind, and the reality, you look at the reality of the situation and the position that you're in, and you just don't see it because you had your mind made up way prior to that, and you're going to see why in a minute. I'm white, my opponent is black, it's Carl Khan, which I'm not real familiar with, but I use the exchange variation, knight f3. We're going to do some developing here. I'm not going to go in any great detail. I'm not no great opening theorist. e6, castle, bishop d6, h3, bishop h5, and this is all pretty much standard stuff. There's a tiny advantage for black right now. I didn't play the opening that well. I decided what to do. Knight to b5 is the computer suggestion, and actually I like that. But then it's funny, I went knight to d2, and everybody thinks why, and that moved into the one of the top 3 suggestions for the computer. So I'm pretty proud of that move, finding that. Bishop to g6. And I went knight back to f3 for some odd reason. Don't know. I want to go knight here is what I really want. And I want to pick up his light squared bishop. He moves bishop there. I go knight there anyway. He castles. I finally take the bishop he takes. All that goofing around to get his light squared bishop. But I got the bishop pair. Bishop g5. I'm pinning his knight. He moves back the bishop to e7. Now I like my position. It wasn't that great before. I like it a little better. Bishop f3 just to put pressure on the d5 pawn. If I had taken bishop takes, bishop f3, bishop takes, knight takes, bishop takes, and that's a crazy position, but that's pretty much dead even, believe it or not. He went knight to e4. Now you're going to see the next few moves I start playing very badly. Bishop, knight takes, knight to e2, queen to c7. I mean, it's not the end of the world for me. It's an advantage for black, but not much of one. c3, I just want to not have my queen guard that pawn, plus reinforce a d4 pawn. Rook a to d8, he's lining up his rooks in the center. And I couldn't stand that knight there anymore. I just couldn't stand it. So I took it. He took back, and I went knight to g3. It's about a pawn advantage for him right now for black, but it's not the end of the world. That advanced e-pawn is going to be a pain in the behind, a real pain in the behind. You're going to see in a few minutes. f5. Here comes the pawns. I go f4. He goes b5. Now he's going to start launching his pawns on that side. Rook to c1. I mean, I'm a little cramped, but it's not the end of the world. There's just a single knights for each of us left. There's no open files yet, not a one of them. A4, A6, pawn takes. I go queen to B3, putting pressure again on the D5 pawn. Alright, here we are. I'm under the gun. I don't like it, but it's not the end of Western civilization. He goes queen to B8 to guard the B pawn. I probably should have gone rook to A1 and started on that open file. But instead I moved the queen again. I moved the queen back. I don't know why. Just trying to get solid, I guess. Knight to A5. At this point I'm thinking, oh boy, he's going to get that knight there. And what on earth is the matter with me? So I decided to change gears a little bit. And I go queen to H5. Maybe I'll put some pressure on him with the queen. He goes queen to C8, guarding the pawn. Okay, he's reacting to me. That's great. I go queen to E2, hit the other pawn. Queen to C4. What to do, what to do? I pretty much have to take, and I did. And then knight takes. Do I leave that knight there? Do I go rook to F2? What do? I hit the knight. Now at this point in time, I want to interject some of what my mind thought was. I thought to myself, you know, you haven't played that well. You got an okay position. It's not that great. You're a little cramped. But if you manage to draw this, you'll have 2.5 points out of 4. Because I lost round 1, won rounds 2 and 3. And there's 1 round left. And it's a 4-hour drive back to upstate New York from central Massachusetts. I wouldn't be in contention for 1st through 3rd. So I thought to myself, okay, if I draw this, I'll just go home early. I'll get home at a somewhat decent hour, just about dark, just before dark, and that'll be cool. Driving all that way in the dark doesn't really appeal to me. If I manage to win this game, of course, I'll continue on. And that's my mindset. Remember that now. What the hell was I thinking? Anyway, after B3, he moved the knight to D2. I moved the rook over. He went E3. Here comes the pawn. He probably should have taken the B pawn, but he moved that pawn instead. Do I go knight to F1, hitting the pawn? Now that's not so hot. I went knight to E2. I use the knight as a blockader, and it's guarding the F4 and D4 pawns. Okay. Rook to A8. What to do? Now I'm feeling absolutely disgusted. I'm backed up into the corner. He's got a pawn on E3 on the 6th rank. His rooks are coming in. I'm pretty much tied up. I went rook to C2. Probably not the greatest move in the world, but not the best either. He moved rook to A3, and the noose is just tightening. And this is what happens when you get disgusted. Like, man, oh man, what was I thinking? And blah, blah, blah. And I go knight to C1. Rook to A1. Now, what would happen if knight had taken? After knight takes, rook takes, king to F1, and I'm back in the game. He's going to lose that E3 pawn. So after rook to A1 for him, I make a really, really crappy move. Right now it's about a 1.5 advantage for my opponent. I go rook to A2. Oh man, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? Computer calls for me to go rook to E1 instead. And after rook to E8, knight to D3, rook takes, knight takes. It's better, but not by much. After rook to A2, of course, he goes rook to B1. Do I go B4? What do? I go rook to E1. Now his advantage is huge. Absolutely huge. It's almost 4 points. Knight takes B3. And I go rook to C2. And this is where he stumbles. You get that mindset that He should have played rook to c8. Instead, he took the knight. I took with the c knight, and now I'm back in the game. I'm thinking, holy crow. He blundered at the end. If I draw this, I'll have 2.5 out of 4. That's more than 500. It's usually my goal in tournaments. I get to go home early. You know, life is good. Rook takes, rook to c8. I'll go through the end game with you, and I'll show you where I really screwed up. Pawn, king takes, pawn up, king. Let's go through the motions here. And I'm thinking, all I'll do is just put my king right here. And go back and forth. Right? King to e6. That loses the game for him. What he should have done was king to g6. Come up in here, which I thought he would do. King to e6. Right now, I have an 11-point advantage on the computer. King to d3. Pawn, king. I'm thinking I can't get in, right? King to b4, I can't get in. He's blocking me out. This is a draw. King to g6, g3. Not knowing I had the tempo. I had the tempo. If the king goes here, my king comes up, the game is over. He goes king to c6. I go king to a5. And when I moved, I asked this kid for a draw, figuring I couldn't get in. I was so convinced that this was drawn that I wasn't even looking. I asked the kid for a draw. It's a draw anyway. He didn't even see it because he goes, yeah, it's probably a draw. The game is over. No matter what he does. If he goes here, my king comes over. He's doomed. And then if his king goes here, I go here. He loses that pawn. No matter what he does, he loses. I didn't see it. That would have gave me 3 out of 4. And a chance at 4 out of 5. It's a 5-round tournament. I didn't even know this was a 1 game until I brought it home later that night and threw it in the computer. I think it was the next day I put it in the computer. And I just held my head and went, oh no. Anyway, folks, I should have won game 1. Blew it in time pressure. Game 2 and 3 I won. Game 4, clear win. And a king and pawn ending of all things. And missed it. When I saw this, I was heartbroken. Anyway, that's round 4. I ended up going home, dropping out, so I get home in a decent hour. It's a 4-hour drive. So I didn't play round 5. And that's the way it is sometimes, guys. You just have in your mind things that are like it is, and I don't know. Anyway, folks, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, well, big sigh. I want you all to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Or in this case, really not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
You know, for too long now, bowlers have been left out of light beer commercials, and football players have been grabbing all the glory. But bowlers know light beer from Miller tastes great. We know light's got 1/3 less calories than the regular beer. We know light's less filling. Bowlers love light just as much as football players. That's right. And we also love the easy opening can. You sure, Doc. Come on.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer and less.